What's going on, everybody? We're back with today's question. This one says, Vinny, should I focus on matching and mirroring during a session to establish rapport with the clients during my pre-talk? That's interesting. I've been taught to match and mirror during a session to build rapport, and I'm wondering if I should do it here as well. What are your thoughts? Okay. I want to throw out a premise that I think is going to be really helpful for framing the video for you to get as much understanding as possible in terms of what I'm about to share. Then I want to get really tactical because we always want to get hands-on, right? Experience is going to be your best teacher. So anything we can do to help shape that is going to be awesome. So we'll get really tactical. Before that, I want to point out though, hey, I think it's pretty cool that you're experimenting. You're thinking from the standpoint of like, hey, they say rapport is great here. Maybe if I try to build more of it here, I wonder what the outcome will be. Is this going to be better? At least in terms of your thinking. I don't know if you've done this yet. I think that's awesome, right? That's going to help you find the most effective way for you to work with clients, I think. So, bravo. So the premise, right? If hypnosis is a naturally occurring phenomena, I think we should ask ourselves, why are we putting so much pressure on ourselves or working so hard to create something that occurs naturally, right? So that's just like an operating assumption I want to toss out there. So let's look at this. So building rapport. I would say no, don't do that. Don't focus on building rapport during a pre-talk. I don't even focus on matching and mirroring ever, right? To the extent it occurs naturally, that's fine, sure. But I'm not gonna like sit there and mimic somebody in front of me. I just don't find that to be necessary. What's rapport really trying to do? Building trust, right? That's what it's for. Who cares about rapport? You want that person to trust you. So you can do this through content, through testimonials. If they comment on a social media post, just engage with the right intentionality, be polite, this type of stuff, right? You could already establish it there. Then prior to booking with you, presumably you're having a sales call with them, and you've already dug into their pain points. You're already starting to understand this person and helping them understand themselves and the way they orient to the problem differently. So there should be a moment for them to gain some trust with you already prior to the session. Now they've paid you money and they've committed to showing up on a time and they're there. So it just seems a bit like overkill at that point. I think if you're operating and working from a traditional model where it's like, hey, I'm going to hypnotize you, I'm going to create trance, going back to our premise, right? If hypnosis occurs naturally, why are we working so hard to create it? If you're not thinking from that vantage point, well, yeah, you probably got to make them feel safe about hypnosis. There is going to be some more leg work to do there. I don't know if that's a phrase. Anyway, here's the thing though. What I don't even do pre-talks. It's been 3 years since I've done a pre-talk easily, right? And look, here's why though. Let's break that down because that's probably a bit out there for a lot of folks. What's a pre-talk doing? It's trying to frame like the sum total of hypnotic phenomena that client may experience, saying, hey, you could go through this, you could experience this, you could get this feeling, that type of feeling, whatever it might be. And as it tries to sort of capture all that stuff, right? And then it's trying to make the client feel safe about it occurring. Right? And maybe if it's focused on a specific problem, like if it's a smoking cessation pre-talk, there might be some beliefs you're trying to get that client to change. But all of that's ultimately targeted at the symptom anyway, right? And in terms of if it's a niche specific, like a problem specific pre-talk, now we're talking about the smoking versus the real problem. The smoking is going to be the presenting problem. I've got a lot of videos up on that if you want to learn more about it. But in terms of the hypnotic phenomena, we don't have any way of knowing what that client's really going to experience. Especially, it's all happening inside their head, right? The theater of their mind. So like, I've had people sit there with their eyes open, have all these wild visions and hallucinations. I've had them regress. I didn't tell them to do any of that stuff, right? Because I don't know the real problem, and I don't know, how can I know the real solution if I don't know the real problem? That's not really what we're doing as hypnotists. So what I teach folks to do is just sort of abandon those traditional ideas, and all we're going to do is allow that client's unconscious mind to tell us what it needs. And then we create a space for that client's unconscious mind to generate the resources necessary to solve the real problem, right? So that's all we're really doing. And there's wild phenomena at times. right? And it's rich with depth and meaning and empowerment. But in no way am I, am I like going in there suggesting anything's going to happen? Because again, I don't know. I want to remove guesswork. I want to reduce my margin of error. I want to work as close to the reality of the thing as possible. So it's just a different way of working. And that means the pressure's off me, right? The pressure's off you, my students, because no longer are they in a situation where they're trying to guess, and if things aren't, if they're not seeing phenomena that matches what they said, now they're starting to question themselves, and maybe I got to troubleshoot that. And we just don't even do any of that, right? So it's a different way of working. Just to highlight the tactical components we talked about, right? You can build rapport on a strategy call. You can build rapport through your social media content. The premise we had here was, okay, if hypnosis is something that occurs naturally, why are we working so hard to create it? We can just allow it to happen, right? It's going to anyway. So as trance kind of emerges, we just catch it. As phenomena emerges, we just kind of catch it. And then we use that. That becomes our induction, or pre-talk, if you want to call it that, or deepener, or whatever, or technique or protocol. Now we're working in such a way that we don't have to sort of come in with presuppositions for what that client needs. They'll tell us. So that means faster breakthroughs, no pressure on us, better results. And so that kind of captures everything I wanted to provide in this video. If you have any follow-up questions, please fire away below. I'd love to see what you have in terms of inquiries. And until then, I'll see you on the next question, folks. Take care, everybody.